The village of Downers Grove and the Downers Grove Park District welcome you to Washington Park. With an abundance of new features and recreational opportunities, Washington Park is more than fun. The park was closed in 2008 to begin a project to reduce flooding in the surrounding neighborhood by creating stormwater detention capacity within the confines of the park. Categorized as a high priority in the village's watershed infrastructure improvement plan, this is the first phase of a project to reduce flooding in the Washington Park neighborhood and surrounding areas. By partnering with the Park District, the village was able to save significantly on the project using park land to build 2 above-ground detention basins. The cost of the Washington Park improvements totaled $3 million. By partnering with the Park District, the village was able to save significantly on the project. As a result of working together, a savings of $4.9 million was realized. Earlier, I spoke with Village Manager Dave Fieldman about the partnership and the cost savings realized.
If the village had worked alone on this stormwater management project, we would have gotten the benefits of only the stormwater project at a significant cost. By partnering with the Park District, we're able to get both the stormwater improvements and the recreational improvements you see here at significant savings. In fact, we needed about an area equal to 19 homes to provide this amount of flood storage facilities. That would have cost us about $6.2 million just to acquire and prepare the land. On this project, by partnering, we were able to use Park District land, which was already owned by the public, provide the Park District a $1.3 million budget for recreational improvements, and construct both improvements at substantial savings. Ultimately, by partnering with the Park District, the village was able to bring this project in at about $3 million, a savings of about $4.9 million if we had acted independently.
Paul File, project manager for the Downers Grove Park District, tells us about the new park features.
Starting with the athletic fields, we've got a softball field in the south basin, or the southeast corner of the park. The new softball field is approximately the same size as a previous field and will primarily be used by the Dolls softball organization. However, the new field has several improvements, several upgrades over the previous field. For example, the new field has stadium-style seating behind home plate and the baselines, has new large dugouts, and new backstop fencing improvements. In the outfield of the softball field, we have space for a medium-sized soccer field. And again, this is a field that we had previously used at this location, the same size field, but several improvements, upgrades on the new soccer field, such as irrigation for the whole outfield, under drains to help drain water away after a rainfall, and then also terraced seating. The retaining walls in the basin serve as seating for players and spectators watching soccer games. Then finally, we have a new soccer field in the north basin near the playground and pavilion area. We have a new small soccer field, which is a field that we did not have previously in this park. Again, that field has spectator seating, retaining walls that double as spectator and players' benches for watching soccer games. We have a brand new playground here. Again, this replaces a playground that was previously at Washington Park. The new playground is roughly the same size as the previous playground. And like all of our playgrounds, it's an ADA accessible playground. The big improvement, the major difference between this new playground and the old one is that in our new playground we have 2 separate play areas. We have an area for the 2 to 5 age children, or the tot lot, and a separate play area for the 5 to 12 older kids. Our new fountain in the plaza the fountain itself holds roughly 4,000 gallons of water. The water is recirculated through filters and treatment system. The water flows at roughly 240 gallons per minute of water spills out of those bowls and into the pool at the bottom. The pavilion is a new feature in Washington Park. It's not something we had previously. It's situated between the 2 play areas and overlooking the small soccer field, so a nice vantage point for several of the play amenities within the park. It also has several picnic tables, 4 full-size tables, so it can accommodate groups who are looking for a place for picnics and gatherings.
Each of the new athletic fields doubles as a detention basin with a combined capacity to hold up to 9 acre-feet of stormwater, the equivalent of 2.5 million gallons, or nearly 4 Olympic pools. Village engineer Jim Tock explained a few of the features below the surface of these new fields.
As a project manager, it is a concern. We want to make sure that the fields are usable as quick as possible. And in order to do that, we did a few key things. Number one was the topsoil layer that's underneath the sod and the seed in the other basin is a 70% sand mixture. This will allow the water to percolate through that first 6 inches a lot more quicker than typical or 100% topsoil. And underneath that 70% sand layer is an underdrain system. So when the water percolates through that first layer, it'll hit these series of underdrain pipes and stone and filter fabric that will take the water to the perimeters of the field, and then that gets discharged to the nearest storm sewer system. Both basins are tied into existing storm sewers that are already in place. These storm sewers are carrying water roughly this area, everything north of us to Ogden Avenue. The water enters the basins via these existing storm sewers. When those elevations, the water elevations in those pipes get to a certain point, it spills over into these basins. There are, I'd say, roughly 90%, 80 to 90% of the storms that we have are going to bypass these basins. But the 10 to 20% of hardcore rain events are going to make their way into the basins based on that elevation of the water inside those pipes leading to these basins. And that's how the water gets here. Obviously the basins will take in the water falling from above, directly above them, but the majority of the water is coming from the nearby storm sewers. If we had a very, very strong rain event, such as October 2nd, 2006, this basin would fill up and drain within 33 hours, 35 hours, and roughly the same time frame for the other basin. So it's, drain time, making sure there's no standing water is the 33 hours, 33 to 35 hours, and then making sure that the field is playable. If you have a good sunny day, probably a couple hours because of the 70% sand mixture.
As you can plainly see, Washington Park, located at the corners of Prairie Avenue and Washington Street, is now open. And while there's more to these improvements than meets the eye, for some segment of the population, the fun parts are all that matter. For the Village of Downers Grove and the Downers Grove Park District, I'm Doug Kozlowski. Thank you for watching.